Birmingham City are the champions and they'll be playing in the second tier next season. But who will join them at the tip of the top of the table over in League One? We're going to take a look at that and much more next. That's right, folks, back once again with another prediction video today. It's all about match number 43, that's right. It is Easter period, of course, 2 games in the space of just 4 days. Who, of course, will be in the driving seat at the end of that. But, of course, most importantly, what's going to go on this coming Friday. We'll take a look at that, of course, and much more in a second. If you knew where you've been, hit the old subscribe. Your one-stop shop for League One is right here, of course. Your one-stop shop for Blackburn Rovers, League One, World Football. We're all here under one roof. Busy week up ahead. And, of course, it was a busy week last time around. We'll take a look at all of that and more in a second. Big shout out to the members, big shout out to the patrons, you know who you are. But what we're going to do now, though, is revisit the results from last weekend. And, of course, look forward to Good Friday, this week, and see what goes on with a bit of drama. So sit tight, hold on, let's get into it. Here we go then, folks. Recapping the results, and they should be on the screen right about now. Kicking all off with Wigan and Wrexham in the battle of the W's, and nobody picked up the W. It was a 0-0 draw in the end. Wycombe with a vital 1-0 win over Stevenage to close the door on Wrexham. Barnsley put 4 past Bolton, 4 Winton put a massive dent in Schumacher's hopes for playoffs. Exeter City with a 2-1 away win to Bristol. Rovers Burton with a 3-0 win over Huddersfield Town, who are falling like a stone. Meanwhile, Charlton kept up their outside hopes of top 2. 1-0 winners over Cambridge United. Crawley losing to Leyton Orient 3-1. Lincoln and Shrewsbury 1-1. Northampton Town 0. Reading was 0. Went with a draw on that one myself. And Stockport 3-1 winners over Rotherham to boost their own chances. A couple of games that didn't take place. That was Blackpool, Birmingham, Mansfield and Peterborough. They will take place another time, I think. The next round of matches are coming at you pretty quick. We'll have a look at those in a minute. But, of course, let's have a look at the table as of right now, as we see it. It is Birmingham City, of course, they're champions. They can take it easy now, but they did lose the EFL trophy to fellow League One side Peterborough to make it back-to-back wins for Peterborough in that competition. Wrexham, though, are in the driving seat. They're level on points with Wycombe. Well, not actually, they're 1 point ahead of Wycombe. But, of course, still a few games, 4 games to be played to see who goes up alongside them. Stockport keeping an eye on that mixer, as are Charlton. Those 3 look set for the playoffs, but who will get that illustrious 6th spot? Reading in the driving seat now. Leyton Orient not giving up hope either. Bolton and still maybe even Huddersfield. And you could probably just about throw a lifeline to Blackpool, who have a game in hand to close in on those 2. But going down, it does look like Shrewsbury are toast, if not already. It might be confirmed. What are we looking at here? 12 points. There's 12 points available. They're 12 points adrift. It's just a matter of time. Burton do have a game in hand as well. Cambridge also got a little bit more chance to get out of it. Crawley as well. There's been fight from some of those down there, but Bristol Rovers in the drop zone for the first time in a while anyway. Burton getting themselves out of it at the moment, but still lots of points to be had. Speaking of points, there's lots of points in the prediction league, so get involved with that. I'm not giving you an update right now because we're jumping straight into it with these games, of course, coming at you this coming weekend, kicking it all off Friday, actually. April the 18th, Good Friday, Easter weekend begins. Get your bloody Easter eggs ready. It's all happening in a very, very quick turnaround. 4 days will separate, could separate 6 points between now and then, but let's kick it all off with this first one. There's only one early game, and that is the Exeter Burton one coming at you at St James's Park. Let's get into the deep end then, shall we? Exeter under Gary Caldwell. They are 15th right now, 52 points for the season. They're on 50% form for them right now. 1-2 lost to and drawn to over the last 6 against Burton. And a Team GB, Gary Bowyer, they are 20th, 42 points for the season. They've won 3 and lost 3, also 50% form for them heading into this. Now, they played 22 times since 2003, 9 wins Exeter, 10 wins Burton. There's been 3 draws between the 2 sides. Now, the last time they played at this venue, it was a 1-0 win for Exeter back in March 2024. The reverse fixture, a 2-1 win for Exeter at Burton at the Pirelli back in December. Exeter winning against Bristol Rovers most recently. Burton on the back of that 3-0 win over Huddersfield Town, of course. But the bookies on this one find it tight. Exeter just about edge it for them. It's going to be tight. I've gone with the 1-0 win back in Team B, GB, and hopefully that 3 points could be open up a gap between themselves and the drop zone. Birmingham against Crawley, of course. Birmingham on an easy street. They're champions now, of course. It might be a chance to rotate the squad a little bit, check out some of the fringe players. So maybe a few L's coming in. We'll see about that. Or they're going for the record. I don't know. Anyway, the top bins right now, they can't now be caught. 75% form for them right now. Just 1 defeat in the last 6. So against Crawley. Scott Lindsay, 3 defeats on the spin. They are rocked down there to 22nd right now. 36 points for this season. Now they played Birmingham Birmingham twice since 2017. 2 wins Birmingham, nothing for Crawley, and no draws. Now, the last time that they played at St Andrews, it was a 5-1 win for Birmingham back in August 2017. That was in the EFL Cup. The reverse fixture this season was a 1-1 win for Birmingham at Crawley back in December. The Brummies, on the back of a 2-0 loss to Peterborough, though, at Wembley. Crawley losing as well to Leyton Orient this past weekend. But the odds on this one, Birmingham still expected to win. Crawley massively out-fancied. I've gone with a 2-0 for Birmingham, but it could be, again, like I said, a rotated squad, mix it up a little bit, change goalkeeper, all that kind of stuff. But we'll see when it comes back around this coming weekend. Bolton against Wycombe coming at the, whatever it's called, Tough Sheet. I don't know, Community Stadium, sort of like that. Bolton and the Stephen Schumacher, they are 8th right now, 66 points for the season. 2 wins at the last 6 matches, but back-to-back defeats coming into this. Wycombe under Mike Dodds, they've lost just the once in the last 6. They sit 3rd with 81 points. Now, they played Bolton 9 times since 2019. 3 wins Bolton, 5 wins Wycombe. There's been 1 draw between the two sides. Last time around, of course, over at Bolton, it was a 2-1 win for Bolton back in February 2024. The reverse fixture, a 0-0 draw at Adams Park back in December. Wycombe with that important 1-0 win over Stevenage. It's been back-to-back 1-0 wins, back-to-back clean sheets. Bolton on the back of back-to-back defeats, losing to Rotherham and then Barnsley. Quick-fire defeats there. The bookies odds on this one, it is tight, could go down the middle. I've also gone with a 2-1 win for Bolton. They need it right now. I'm not saying they need it the most, but Wycombe definitely need it the most for that top 2 spot. I've gone with the 2-1 win for Bolton to get themselves back in the thick of things in the top 6 race. Meanwhile, Charlton need to close the door themselves on the top 2 if they think they can do it. Taking on Northampton Town this week at the Valley. Nathan Jones's boys are 5th right now, 76 points for the season, just 1 defeat in the last 6. Up against Northampton Town under Kevin Nolan, just 1 win in the last 6. They are 19th right now. Now, they played Charlton 9 times in 2016, 5 wins Charlton, 2 wins Northampton. There's been 2 draws between the two sides. Last time around, over at the Valley, it was a 3-2 win for Northampton back in January 2024. The reverse fixture at Sixfields, it was a 5-0 win for Charlton back in December. Of course, Charlton picking up a 1-0 win over Cambridge most recently. Northampton with that 0-0 draw against Reading to make it back-to-back clean sheets for the visitors. The bookies odds on this one, Charlton expected to get the W according to the bookies. I'm going with a 1-0 win as well for Charlton, just enough to get the 3 points and keep them in the discussion. Meanwhile, Huddersfield Town against Cambridge United. Huddersfield under John Worthington, just 2 wins in the last 6. 9 for the table, 64 points for the season. Up against Cambridge under Neil Harris. They are 23rd right now, and they're desperate for points. They are 35 points for the campaign. They played Huddersfield 5 times in 2003. 3 wins for the hosts, nothing for the visitors, and there's been 2 draws between the two sides. Now, the last time I played at Huddersfield in the league, it was a 2-2 draw way back in August 2003. It was such a long time ago, but they did play this come around this season at Cambridge. It was a 4-0 win for Huddersfield back in December. The hosts, though, on the back of that 3-0 loss to Burton most recently. That makes it back-to-back games without a goal. Cambridge is also losing to Charlton, just the 1-0 last time around. The odds on this one, it is pretty much in favour of Huddersfield, but I'm not reading it like that. I'm going with a bit of an upset here. 1-0 win for Cambridge, putting Huddersfield further in the mire. Cambridge, big old boost for them at the bottom of the table. Meanwhile, Leyton Orient taking on Barnsley, of course, must-win territory for both sides, really. I think it's more must-win for Barnsley if they have got any hopes to get back into it. I think it might be a bridge too far anyway. Up against Leyton Orient at Brisbane Road. Richie Wellens' boys are 7th right now, 66 points for the season, just 1 defeat in the last 6. Up against Barnsley under Conor Hoonahane, just 1 win out of the last 6 matches. They sit 11th with 57 points. Now, they played the Orient 5 times since 2014. 1 win for the hosts, 2 wins for the visitors, and there's been 2 draws between the two sides. Now, the last time they played at Brisbane Road, it was a 1-1 draw way back in October 2023. The reverse fixture at Oakwell, it was a 4-0 win for the Orient back in December. Barnsley, though, picking up a 4-1 win, a big win over Bolton most recently. Both back-to-back games have consisted of, what are we looking at here, 8, 10, 12, 13 goals between Barnsley's last 2 opponents. The game in itself, so, not 18 goals scored by Barnsley, if you know what I mean. Anyway, Orient on the back of back-to-back away wins, big wins for them. Last time they were at home, there was a 0-0 draw against Wigan. The odds for this one, we're looking at it. The Orient are expected to get the W. I've gone with the 2-1 win as well for Richie Wellens' boys, to give them a big old boost and maybe climb into the top 6 or at least get within touching distance anyway. Peterborough are back in league action after their EFL trophy success, taking on Stockport County. Darren Ferguson's boys are 16th for the table, 48 points for the season. They've won 3 and they've lost 3 over the last 6. Stockport, though, under David Challoner, they've won 4 on the spin. In fact, just 1 defeat in the last 6, and they sit 4th right now with 77 points. They played Peterborough 16 times in 2003, 8 wins for the Posh, 5 wins for Stockport, and there's been 3 draws between the two sides. Last time around, over at Peterborough, it was a 4-1 win for the Posh. That was back in November 2010. That was in the FA Cup. However, the last time they played at Peterborough in the league, It was way back in April 2009. It was just a 1-0 win for Peterborough. The reverse fixture this season at Edgeley Park was a 2-1 win for Stockport back in December. The odds for this one, though, do think Stockport just have the edge. Of course, they're on a good bit of form. I'm going with Peterborough. Their tails are up. They're happy. They're buoyant from their Wembley success. And of course, puts a massive dent in Stockport streams. Meanwhile, Reading will take on Lincoln City at the Matchday. Reading in that 6th spot right now under Noel Hunt. They are, of course, 69 points for them. Just one defeat in the last 6 up against Lincoln and Michael Skabula are 12th right now. Just one defeat in the last 6. They played Reading 4 times in 2016. 2 wins for Lincoln, nothing for Reading, and there's been 2 draws between the two sides. Last time around over at Reading, it was a 1-1 draw way back in April 2024. The reverse fixture at Sincil Bank was a 2-0 win for Lincoln back in December. Lincoln on the back of successive draws, so back-to-back draws for them. Reading also drawing against Northampton Town most recently. The odds for this, Reading have the edge. It is tight with the bookies. I've gone with a 2-0 win. Reading need it to maintain that top 6 streams. And then Rotherham, they're up in action up against Mansfield. Of course, Rotherham with Matthew Hampshire at the helm there. 1-3, lost 1 of the last 4. They sit 13th right now, 54 points for the season. Up against Mansfield and Nigel Clough. They are 18th right now, 3 defeats on the spin, 47 points for the campaign. They played Rotherham 9 times in 2005, 5 wins for the Millers, 3 wins for the Stags, and 1 draw between the two sides. Last time around in the league at this very venue, you've got to go back a little bit. When do we have to go back? We got to go back to October 2007. It was a 3-2 win for Rotherham. That was in League 2. Now, they've already played this season at the New York Stadium. It was a 2-0 win for Rotherham in the EFL Trophy. That was in Group H way back in August. But Mansfield picking up with a 1-0 win in the reverse fixture back in December. Rotherham losing to Stockport most recently. Mansfield also losing to Leyton and Orient most recently. Now, the odds for this one. Rotherham have the edge on this. Mansfield are a bit of a slump right now. Going with a draw myself. Points apiece right down the middle. Final 3 now. Shrewsbury Town up against Wigan. Shrewsbury under Michael Appleton. They are rock bottom right now. 24 for the season. 30 points for the campaign. Up against Wigan under Ryan Lowe. Also struggling, winless in the last 6 matches. They've drawn 3 on the spin, though. They sit 17th with 47 points. They played Shrewsbury 12 times in 2015. 1 win for the Shrews, 8 wins for Wigan, and there's been 3 draws between the two sides. Last time around over at Shrewsbury, it was a 1-0 win for the Wigan back in February 2024. The reverse fixture, a 2-2 draw at the DW back in December. Wigan on the back of 3 successive draws, and they've failed to score in 3 of those last 4 matches. Meanwhile, Shrewsbury on the back of that 1-1 draw against Lincoln. Of course, the odds for this one is favour of Wigan here. They need a win. I've gone with a win, but Shrewsbury look toast, and that will probably confirm their drop this season. Into the final 2, Stevenage up against Blackpool. That's right, coming at Stevenage. Alex Revell's boys are 14th with 52 points for the season. Just 1 win in the last 6. Up against Blackpool under Steve Bruce. They won 4 and lost 2 of the last 6. They sit 10th right now, 60 points for the campaign. They played Stevenage 50 times in 2016. 1 win for Stevenage, 3 for Blackpool, and there's been 1 draw. Last time around over at Stevenage, it was a 1-0 win for the hosts way back in February 2024. The reverse fixture at Bloomfield Road was a 0-0 draw back in December. The away sides only won once in the last 5 here. Blackpool on the back of that 2-1 loss to Rotherham most recently, with Stevenage also losing to Wycombe last time around. The odds for this, Stevenage just have it, the edge. I'm going with a 2-0 win for Blackpool on the road to give them a last bit of hope. And then Wrexham take on Bristol Rovers over in Wales. Wrexham under Phil Parkinson, second in the table, 82 points for the season. They're unbeaten in at least the last 6 up against Bristol Rovers under Ignil Calderon, who've lost 6 on the bouts. They're in the drop zone. I think that gamble has failed. They played 9 times in 2002, 5 wins Wrexham, 2 wins Bristol Rovers. There's been 2 draws between the two sides. Last time around at Wales, it was a 0-0 draw way back in December 2014. That was in the National League. The reverse fixture this season over in Bristol, it was a 1-1 draw back in December. The odds on this one, Wrexham massively fancied. I've gone with a 3-1 win as well. And if I'm right, that completes my pack there for this Easter Friday's fixtures, and this will be the table at the moment. Birmingham City still running away with it. Of course, they're champions. They cannot be caught. Wrexham in the driving seat. 4-point gap now between themselves and Wycombe. Charlton up to 4th spot there. Stockport 5th and Reading are 6th. Going down, Shrewsbury confirmed. Crawley will be next in line there. Cambridge, Bristol Rovers, and 3-point gap between themselves and Burton Albion. That's, of course, my picks. Make sure you get your own picks in as well, as we look forward to that. And, of course, the quick turnaround with games coming at you on Good Monday, Easter Monday. But until then, we'll see you soon. Subscribe, smash the like, catch you later. Until then, guys and girls, we are done.